Good afternoon. I am Cesar Delgado from Backroads of Illinois podcast on Google Podcast and YouTube with Dan Huber from Huber Report out of Sycamore, Illinois. Good day. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Yes.
The report itself really didn't hold any surprises. Yes, it was maybe you could call it a tinge positive that the yields for corn and soybeans were reduced slightly, but ultimately there were no major changes. When you look at the stocks of corn and soybeans, especially not only domestically but worldwide, we have very comfortable supplies around at this point in time. So, unless there's some kind of late season disaster, which seems unlikely in the soybeans, we're really looking at world ending stocks on soybeans projected to be the highest they've been in 7 or 8 years. So nothing that would be really very supportive of our prices right now.
Are you serious?
About the USDA report?
Yeah.
Well, very much so. 2 billion bushels of corn domestically, over 2 billion bushels of corn domestically, and a couple 100 million bushels of beans are very, very adequate numbers here at this point in time. And again, I say when you look at the global ending stocks on soybeans, I think the USDA pushed him up to 119 million metric tons. Again, that is just as a raw number, that's a record figure. And as a stocks to usage ratio, that's the highest we've been since 2018, 2019.
I might have to ask this question again. How are the weather models for this month and next couple of months before the harvest season?
At least as what I have seen at this point in time from the weather models we look at, the balance of the growing season, outside of some warm temperatures this coming weekend, the weather outlook looks very favorable into the fall.
How are the grain market for this morning?
Well, today the grain markets have responded back on the positive side. Of course, this was after several days of kind of depressed prices. So, from a very technical standpoint, at least, we have pushed these markets down to some of the lowest levels we've seen since the springtime, particularly corn and wheat. Soybeans, the lowest levels we've seen for a number of weeks. And I think from a technical perspective, very oversold and probably due for a recovery. But I suspect most of that will be just that, a recovery. We're not looking at new bull trends, possibly with the exception of beans having a little more interest.
How about the cash market for North Central Illinois?
Well, I think as we approach harvest, which is of course really just around the corner at this point, you've seen a combination of spreads beginning to widen out, offering more carry in the market. I think the cash market is gearing up for a respectable harvest throughout North Central Illinois, and which is probably going to keep basis levels somewhat depressed, at least until we get a little taste of what the harvest is going to be. Well, of course, the cattle market has been on a record move this year, but I think we finally have reached the end of the road.
How
You've of course
about the
pushed
cattle
the
markets
cattle
and
up
hog
significantly in
markets?
relationship to hogs, in relationship to the poultry markets. Everything I've seen over the last week and a half would seem to say this cattle market has exhausted itself. Hogs, of course, up until 30 days ago or 40 days ago, were pretty depressed, but have responded nicely. I think that tend to think that for the time being, we have probably exhausted that move as well, and probably will see a little softness to the downside. If anybody would like to reach me, the most effective way to do that would be via email, which is dan@thehuberreport.com.
Is there anything would you like to go to tell the audience about this weather conditions
No,
for
nothing really
farming?
additional at this point in time. It's not that there haven't been problems out there in the weather in certain places this year, but boy, as a whole, it is, for Northern Illinois, it has been a relatively stress-free summer. So I'm looking for respectable production here in this part of the country.
Thanks for coming along with us for this
Thank you as well. It's been a
afternoon.
pleasure to be here.
Thanks for coming along with us
Absolutely, my
for this
pleasure.
afternoon, and thanks for your time and business. This is your Markets Update on Back Roads of Illinois podcast on YouTube. This is Dan Huber from Huber Report. You've been listening to Back Roads of Illinois. I am Cesar Delgado. I am your host today. I would truly appreciate you do subscribe to my podcast on YouTube. Thanks for listening to Back Roads of Illinois podcast. Have a great day.